Hello everyone, it is Micah, and if you're anything like myself, you may be getting a little bit bored in Final Fantasy XIV right now, since we're in the middle of that usual downtime just before a new expansion, and you're just looking for something to do. Or you just may be looking to take a break from the day-to-day grind and trying to find something a little more casual or perhaps a little bit more solo. So today I'm going to talk about a nice little piece of side content that not everyone may have tried, because it doesn't, on the surface, have a lot of appeal to everyone, especially if you're someone who's just not familiar with the Final Fantasy franchise as a whole: the Blue Mage. Now, if you're not familiar with this job or the series, you may be asking yourself, what the heck is a Blue Mage? Well, to put it simply, the Blue Mage is a job that can learn the skills and the abilities of monsters, and in this iteration, it can only use the skills learned from monsters. This version also cannot be used in normal gameplay. You cannot use it in roulettes, in deep dungeons, Eureka, Boja, PvP, or a few other things due to being what Square Enix refers to as a limited job. It also does not level the same way as other jobs, since you cannot use it to run roulettes or just queue up randomly for dungeons. More on that later. Nor does it have the same level cap as other jobs. At the time of writing this, the level cap for Blue Mage is set to 70, which is 10 levels below the current cap of 80. Blue Mage also has its own content called the Masked Carnival, which is a series of solo battles that will make the most of your blue magic. More on that later as well. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, there's no reason for me to level Blue Mage. I can't queue up with it to run roulettes, I can't farm a lot of high level content on it, and I can't even do most of the current content on it. And you may feel that just leveling it up is gonna be a waste of time, especially if you're just not interested in the rewards exclusive to the job, like the Morble mount. But there are a few reasons to do it. For instance, it's something you can do mostly solo, and the majority of your leveling is going to be done in the overworld. So it's going to let you get out there and do stuff in the overworld at your own pace, something we don't see very often in this game. But the real reason you should want to level Blue Mage, if you're not interested in the Blue Mage itself, is for the ease of farming, which comes in extremely handy with a few pieces of content, both old and new, or even some events. For instance, currently we have the Moogle Treasure Trove event going on, which has you running various pieces of content for a special tombstone that can be used to buy some unique rewards, or as an alternative way to earn a few others, like the Beast Tribe or the Primal Mounts. And if the Relic Weapon questlines of the past 2 expansions are any indication of the future, it's also going to help you get any item drops you need for those weapons by dramatically reducing the time it takes to farm them from both fates and dungeons outside the special zones made just for those quest lines. So even though it's just a fun little side project of sorts, it does have benefits after the fact. That being said, let's talk about what exactly is involved here, because it is so different from other jobs in this game. So, to unlock the Blue Mage, you first need to complete the level 50 main scenario quest, The Ultimate Weapon. After you do, a new NPC named the Zealous Yellow Jacket will appear near the main Aetheryte in Limsa Lominsa and give you a quest called Out of the Blue. Now, this quest is going to give you a little bit of starting gear and send you on your way to learn your first spell. But before you go anywhere, remember to have the brand new ring from the Hall of the Novice equipped, as well as any other experience boosting gear you may have, like the Friendship Circlet or the earring you receive as a pre-order bonus for the expansions. You're also going to be given access to the Blue Mage spellbook. This tome is going to tell you which spells you have and have not yet learned. Unfortunately, Square Enix made a bit of a strange choice here and just blanked out all the spells you haven't learned, so you're gonna need to find an online reference to not only know which spells and abilities you can learn, but also which mobs you can learn them from. To make life easier, place this spellbook on your hotbar for easy access, because you are going to be accessing it a lot to change your skills or just to see which spells you have and have not yet learned. To do this, simply find it by going to your main menu, Character, locating the Blue Mage spellbook on the list, and then dragging and dropping it to your hotbar, which is going to bring me to your abilities. You see, since Blue Mage can learn abilities by fighting the creatures around Eorzea, or by purchasing certain spells from the Blue Mage vendor after certain requirements are met, it has no abilities of its own. All of your abilities, from damaging abilities to buffs and debuffs to even healing, are given to you by learning them. Nothing is just going to come naturally as you level up. Fortunately, there's no spells you have to have right away. You're given your first damage dealing spell by completing the first quest, and you're given your first healing spell from the Blue Mage vendor after you learn only a total of 10 spells, which is going to help make your leveling and your ability learning much easier. Learning Blue Magic is also really easy. All you need to do is find which enemies will teach you the spell you're currently trying to learn, which are again all easily found online, and then simply fight that enemy, wait for it to use that ability, and then cross your fingers. If you're alive when that creature perishes, you're going to have a chance of learning the spell, and if you did, a big old message is going to flash across your screen. Now, normally I found this to be a rather simple process. Unlike other Final Fantasy games, which could take sometimes hundreds of kills and hours of farming to learn a single ability, in Final Fantasy XIV, you're generally going to learn it after only a handful of kills, max. Then if you want to use that spell, simply open up your Blue Mage spellbook, activate it by checking the box next to it, and then dragging and dropping it to your hotbar. Learning magic also goes hand in hand with leveling up your Blue Mage. As I said earlier, you're not able to use things like roulettes or deep dungeons to level up, so instead you're going to be fighting enemies in the overworld, making leveling up almost a byproduct of learning Blue Magic. Because especially in the early levels, you're going to spend a lot of your time just learning spells. Blue Mage also earns a lot more experience per kill than other jobs, so while you may only get a few hundred experience from one kill on Summoner or Ninja, you're going to get thousands of experience on Blue Mage, making killing random enemies in the overworld the best and fastest way to level. If you use your Chocobo Companion and experience boosting gear and food, the process of leveling is extremely fast, like a few days and done sort of fast. Now, there are a handful of spells that are learned from dungeons or from primals, and they may be difficult to learn on your own. So to get these spells, you're going to want to utilize Party Finder. You can create a party of just Blue Mages or leave it open to anyone willing to help. Primal spells can be learned from either the regular or the extreme versions of the battles as well. Just remember, you have to be alive when the enemy dies to have a chance of learning the spell, so be careful. But now that you've leveled your Blue Mage and you've collected all kinds of spells, what is there to do? Well, this is when you begin to explore the Masked Carnival, which will open up as you progress through the Blue Mage storyline. Side note, the Blue Mage storyline it's just bad, in my opinion. I mean, the job quests are generally some of the weakest storytelling in the game. I mean, there are outliers. This just is not one of them, especially after playing Final Fantasy XI, which had by far the most interesting lore we've experienced for Blue Mage out of the entire franchise. In my opinion, they perfected the Blue Mage in Final Fantasy XI. No iteration of the Blue Mage before or after has been this just good. It was so dark and so serious and so well written that it makes this really cutesy pootsy circus act version of the Blue Mage just ugh. But anyway, I digress. If you played Final Fantasy XI, the Masked Carnival is going to be very reminiscent of BCNMs, although a little bit easier to access. So what you want to do is go to the Celestium Attendant, who's located outside of the Miners Guild in Uda, talk to him, and select Enter the Masked Carnival. Then click on whichever battle you want to challenge. Another subscreen will then appear and give you some of the details of that battle, including how many rounds there are, what you're going to be fighting in each round, and a few other things like elemental weaknesses or any strengths and weaknesses that enemy actually has, which they brought back just for this content. This is going to allow you to select spells that will give you an advantage before you go in, because once you enter, you cannot change your spells around. After confirming the battle, you're going to be placed inside the arena, and then it's simply up to you. Now, each battle does have spells that can make your life a lot easier, as well as sometimes some very specific strats that need to be followed if you want to survive at all. I could honestly make walkthrough videos for each of the battles in the Blue Carnival, but a variety of people have already done so. I will do it if you want me to. I know some of you have told me you feel like explain things really well, so I'm going to leave this completely up to you guys. Let me know if this is a series you want me to make, because I'm more than willing to do it if you want me to. But anyway, outside of earning a few extra spells that can only be purchased after a certain number of Blue Carnival battles have been defeated, there's not really any reason to do this content. And even if you do this content, there's really not any reason to do it a second time. The rewards are basically the same that you get from hunts. A little gil, some allied seals, tombstones, and just the ability to say, I did that. It was honestly very disappointing. If you have a group of blues that you can set up a party with though, you can challenge turns 5, 9, and 13 of the Binding Coil of Bahamut series, as well as the Burden of the Father, the Burden of the Son, and the Soul of the Creator Savage modes for the Alexander raids. Completing these battles in a party of nothing but Blue Mages with Undersized Party turned off and Silence Echo turned on will grant you the titles you need to obtain the Morble Mount. Don't be fooled though, these fights are no joke with both your level synced and no echo bonus, so you may need to put some practice in and get a fairly decent group of people to help you out. The Blue Mage Spellbook also has a tab that's going to let you know which battles are deemed to be extra challenges. But these battles still give you nothing unique. It simply ups the amount of already existing rewards, which I stated before, you can also get by simply participating in hunts, which is leaps and bounds faster and easier than doing anything here. Outside of that, Blue Mage reigns supreme when it comes to farming, so you're gonna definitely be dusting it off to farm any items you may need for things like relic weapons or even crafting and whatnot. But that, my friends, is all I really have when it comes to Blue Mage and why you should level it. If you have any other questions, if there was something you want more of an explanation on, or if you want me to cover anything else in Final Fantasy XIV or other games, let me know in the comments. And while you're down there, a like and a sub if you have not already would be greatly appreciated, and you can also follow me on Twitter, which is linked in the description. No pressure though, never any pressure. And as per the usual, it's been a hoot. Until next time, have fun.